In less than 24 hours, the Indian Navy will acquire the INS Vikramaditya, the largest warship to enter the fleet. The Vikramaditya, once known as the Gorshkov in Russian service, is as good as new, having been upgraded extensively. It now operates state-of-the-art MiG-29 fighters, which have already joined the Indian Navy. Still, critical questions remain on what the Navy intends to do with this newly acquired capability. What you're going to be seeing here are exclusive glimpses into the INS Vikramaditya, certainly one of the most powerful warships in its class in the world. When this ship enters the Indian Navy on Saturday in faraway Severodvinsk in Russia, it'll mark a quantum jump in the capabilities of the Indian Navy. It's not often that aircraft carriers are inducted anywhere in the world. In fact, for India, this will be the first carrier to join the fleet since the INS Virat entered service in 1987. But the difference in capabilities of the new ship, called the Vikramaditya, and the existing carrier, the Virat, could not be more pronounced. The Vikramaditya, a rebuilt Russian aircraft carrier, embarks some of the most modern carrier-borne fighter aircraft anywhere in the world, the MiG-29K. The Virat, by contrast, operates a handful of Sea Harrier subsonic fighters, jets limited by their weapons carrying capability and the difficulty in actually operating them. With 16 supersonic MiG-29K fighters on board, and at the center of an Indian carrier battle group composed of nuclear submarines, frigates and destroyers, India, with the INS Vikramaditya, has the ability to project power anywhere in the Indian Ocean region. In fact, the induction of the Vikramaditya marks the beginning of a period where Indian naval carrier battle groups can actually go beyond protecting our maritime interests and sea lanes of communication close to our shores. With a new aircraft carrier building in Kochi, a carrier which will also embark MiG-29 fighters, the Indian Navy will be able to take on an expanding Chinese naval presence even far away from our shores. The actual use of the Vikramaditya, though, in an offensive military posture depends greatly on Indian foreign and military policy. In the past, an unclear strategic outlook beyond tackling the military capabilities of Pakistan has been a distinct failing of Indian military policy. As India acquires the awesome capability of the Vikramaditya, the question remains, against whom will this costly and extremely capable warship be used, or will it remain merely a symbol of power? The heart of the Vikramaditya lies in its offensive firepower, the MiG-29K, very different from the first generation MiG-29s that the Indian Air Force has been operating since the mid-80s. The MiG-29K that you see here has a radar that can track 10 aerial targets at once and simultaneously fire on 4. It can track a naval destroyer 300 kilometers away, targets which can be engaged with a host of the latest, most advanced Russian weapon systems. The MiG-29K also has an integrated infrared search and track system which works with optical and laser systems to enable the pilot of the jet to hit targets in the air, on the ground and out at sea without using the jet's radar.
हमारे पास फिर 2 एयरक्राफ्ट कैरियर ऑपरेशनल रहेंगे एक साथ, और उसके बाद भी अगर एयरक्राफ्ट कैरियर बने तो हमारा देश जो है वो दोनों समुद्री सीमा, अरब सागर और बे ऑफ बंगाल दोनों में एक एक कैरियर रहेंगे, तो हमारी ताकत तो बढ़ेगी.
The actual acquisition of the Vikramaditya, formerly known as the Gorshkov, in Russian service hasn't been easy at all. The Gorshkov had been inducted in the Soviet fleet in 1987 but was decommissioned in 1996 because of high costs in maintaining the ship. In 94, a cash-strapped Russia offered the Gorshkov to India as a so-called free gift as long as India paid for the cost of the refit of the ship and the fighters she would carry. Negotiations resulted in the cost of the refit jumping from $400 to $700 million. Finally, in 2004, a package deal worth $1.5 billion was inked, with $974 million being earmarked for the refit, with the rest for the acquisition of the MiG-29 fighters. The Gorshkov was supposed to enter the Indian Navy in 2008, but all work ground to a halt when Russia admitted that the cost of the refit work had been grossly underestimated, even though India insisted it had signed a fixed price contract. Finally, in 2010, the cost of refitting the ship was pegged at $2.33 billion and another $2 billion for 45 MiG-29Ks. But the saga of the Gorshkov didn't end there. Expected to be delivered last year, the ship broke down during sea trials, its boilers failing to sustain operations at maximum speed. Now, finally, after another round of trials, this time entirely successful, the Vikramaditya is ready and will cruise to India with an escort frigate of the Indian Navy and subsequently with a battle group which will include the old aircraft carrier, the Virat, when she enters the Indian Ocean. The Vikramaditya is the largest platform to enter the Indian Navy, a behemoth weighing in at more than 40,000 tons. The 284-meter long and 20-story high warship can carry 24 MiG-29K fighters and 10 helicopters at the same time. It can sail at speeds of about 55 kilometers per hour and can sail over 1,300 kilometers every day. It can sustain itself for over 45 days without replenishment and will be manned by 1,600 personnel. And the crew alone is expected to consume 1 lakh eggs, 20,000 liters of milk and over 16 tons of rice every month. In Severodvinsk, there is a palpable sense of excitement. The wait is finally over. The Indian Navy will finally get its dream carrier and in the process carry on a decades-old tradition of taking off and landing fighter jets on the rolling, pitching deck of a warship far out at sea, one of the toughest naval skills to master.